Our deal of the year is here. Between now and December 4th, subscribe to The Athletic for just $1 a month. Get all access to exclusive sports stories, unrivaled local coverage, and in-depth analysis, all for $1 a month for your first 12 months. If you've been thinking about subscribing to The Athletic, now is the time. And act fast, because this deal ends December 4th, my dad's birthday. Head to theathletic.com/birds with friends to sign up. Now, you have probably seen on our Twitter feeds, if you are on Twitter, and by the way, just get off Twitter, that, we've been bumping today as the last day, this Monday, Cyber Monday, as the last day for the $1 a month deal. Not so for the listeners. So this is your last chance. You got to buy gifts coming up this holiday season. What a better gift to buy than a subscription to The Athletic? And, you give all three of us a little boost if you go to theathletic.com/birds with friends. All of The Athletic all year long, just $1 a month for 12 months. Cancel anytime. Better sports coverage, best deal of the year for new subscribers only. Subscribe now and save. Now is the time to take advantage of getting your subscription for only $1 a month all year long to see for yourself the creativity, reporting, and storytelling that sets The Athletic apart. And if you go to theathletic.com/birds with friends, you can receive an all-access subscription for just $1 a month for all 12 months. I mean, what do you spend $12 on? You can afford this. Come on. So go to theathletic.com/birds with friends to receive an all-access subscription for just $1 a month. Do it for Marissa. We hope to see you there.
Bird to your mother, it's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia, Bo, Sheila, and Zach kicking it cooler than three penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Bo, Sheila, and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping their wings on
Birds with Friends.
All I know is Zach said he has a game where he'll don't read both 7,000 and I said, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it.
And so the purpose of...
That's what I needed was not to get at least one more reader. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends, a post-game edition at about 12:52 in the morning, following the Eagles' embarrassing 23-17 loss to the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football, a game that featured the broadcast booth openly speculating about the future of the general manager and the head coach. I am Bo Wolf, joined by Zach Berman and Marissa Morris, the three of us, the three people who actually care about the listeners. Zach, how are you?
Doing well, excited for this podcast. I'm doing better than the Eagles because that was an ugly game. That was an uninspiring performance. It's the season
on one side of the ball.
Yes, true. The offense had an opportunity against the defense that is one of the worst in the NFL. You can argue the worst in the NFL. Certainly their pass defense, their scoring defense, and the Eagles had 9 points until the final minute of the fourth quarter. They
no
showed
first downs in their first 5 drives.
Yes, they showed no creativity. There was all this conversation during the week about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts officially played 2 snaps. He played 1 last week, 2 this week. And
he doubled his production.
Carson Wentz, who, if you looked at this as a possible get-right game, didn't get right. I thought like just was out of sync. Really, the offense
he didn't get right, but now he might get left.
The offense had that was a good one. The offense had no creativity. I don't want to say Doug Peterson's checked out, but like there's just nothing different with this offense, with this team. And on the other side of the ball, I would agree that they played tough and they played inspired. But Darius Slay is on this team to shut down opposing top receivers. He's done that for most of the season. You look, they really haven't had a number 1 wide receiver have a 100-yard game against them. And he goes out there and allows DK Metcalf to have the best game of Metcalf's career. So I don't mean to go on a long preamble here, but I think if you're evaluating the Eagles, you feel worse about them right now than you did going into the game.
You think so? I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, how could I already had a very low opinion of them.
Well, because this is as I said, this was a chance for the offense against
Yeah,
so
but the
many
offense
teams
has
have been
stunk
moving
all year long.
and this was their chance
Yeah, I
to
guess
at
that's
least
fair.
put up points, right? Like you're going up against a team that hasn't stopped anyone. That's been
I think
allowing.
you are just like finally reaching the destination where I have been for a while in terms of expectations for this team.
The first 2 quarters were it was
Pathetic.
It was ridiculous.
Pathetic.
They had 4 yards in their first 5 drives.
That's insane.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Their
And-
introduction of Jalen Hurts was on a 2nd and 9.
we have a lot to get to because the coaching, as you said in this game, was uninspired. And I think I'm not going to say that these reports that Doug Peterson is like looking to get fired are necessarily true, but I would say that if he was looking to get fired, it would look a lot like what the Eagles did on offense tonight. So we've got a lot to get to. We'll get to the non-usage of Jalen Hurts. We'll get to the just completely baffling decision to have Alshon Jeffrey out there over 50% of the snaps, taking snaps away from Travis Fulgham.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most bizarre things that's happened in this very bizarre season, maybe number one. We will get to Carson Wentz looking bad again. I think we have to talk about the broadcast, and I want to get your thoughts on watching the game from the booth. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about Slay. But I think we need to start with the Grouse for this episode, this post-game pod. And the Grouse easily is Sheil Kapadia, who parachutes in to drop a story as the game closes and then just ditches the podcast. What is that? What is that garbanzo beans nonsense? The temerity. Come on.
First off,
act like you care about the listeners.
I thought it was a well done story.
You want to pretend like you're on the beat? What are we doing?
I read through it before I jumped on here. I thought Sheil did a
No,
good job.
nobody who listens to the podcast should read that story until Sheil comes on the next podcast.
Well,
and
I hate to
apologizes.
break it to you. A lot of people already have. All right, because we're looking
that's
at
a
it.
Bush League move.
And Sheil's got a lot of work in front of him, as do we. But he's a national reporter. He worked all day today. He's got a busy Tuesday. He'll be on here Wednesday night giving his thoughts.
I'm not so sure about that. Who's to say he's going to deign us,
or Wednesday
worthy
morning,
of his presence on Wednesday? We might be below him again. He's got, he's got the, I don't know, the Cardinals to write about or some BS.
I think he wants to cede the floor to you. It's more airtime for you.
I think he's a coward. I think he's ducking the listeners. The post game pod is where the magic happens. The guy's not committed. He's as committed as the Eagles are. Okay. All right, Zach, let's start with the quarterback because we do this every week, but the quarterback was bad. It's as always hard to disentangle everything from the offensive line and the offensive scheme and, what's going on in his head, but he was bad, very, very bad. 25 of 45 for 215 yards, sacked 6 times. And those numbers are like goosed up by a ridiculous Hail Mary at the end of the game. 1 interception, and like he's missing open guys. Even when he's throwing to the right guy, he's being inaccurate. It's just, he looks bad. And I thought the Eagles should have benched him. I thought that Jalen Hurts, after their 5th straight 3 and out, I thought they should have handed the keys to Jalen Hurts. If not, what are we doing here?
Look, I'll preface this by saying it's not just him. And I think that was kind of Doug's point was that the receivers weren't helping him. The blocking wasn't helping him. But when you're the franchise quarterback in year 5, the expectation should be that you raise the level of those around you. It can't just be that you excel when conditions are ideal. And what we're seeing
we talk
this year,
about this guy like he's a child. Like
yes. And I asked Doug because Doug said that they couldn't get anything going on offense, so they really didn't have plays to get Hurts the ball early on. And I asked him,
a good question by you.
Like, isn't that a reason to get Hurts on the field that you had no rhythm?
Right.
And Doug said no.
How about a little spark?
And I said, why not? And he said, because those mistakes would have happened anyways. which his point being that it wasn't on the quarterback. That I need to listen back.
Well, then you might as well put in the more dynamic athlete.
Yeah, but I think he mentioned that Jalen Reagor messed up on a screen and with the interception, Wentz was expecting Goddard to go one way, Goddard turned the other way. He was, there were sacks, but the bottom line is that you can't keep making excuses for Carson Wentz to look the way he did. Like, Carson Wentz needs to raise the level of the play around him. And it's also week 12 here. So if he has it's not like he has miscommunications with these practice squad receivers they had last year. Yeah, if he's not on the same page with Dallas Goedert, like, what does that tell you? Right?
I have seen enough. I mean, I like Carson Wentz. I thought very highly of him as a quarterback heading into the season. I like him personally. Mm-hmm. I have seen enough. I do not need to see any more Carson Wentz this season. He, any hope that he's going to turn things around is going to come from something that happens in the offseason, whether that's a new coaching staff or just like, a Men in Black erasure of his memory, and he forgets this entire season. But I don't need to see him any more this season. He's been awful. He's not going to turn things around. They need to see what Jalen Hurts has. I think it's that simple.
So what's a more plausible scenario in your mind? And I don't want to play conspiracy theorist here, but I just want to outline two scenarios for you. One being they're tied to Carson. When you play
conspiracy theorist.
One
not
being
like Pete Carroll level conspiracy theorist.
No. Only football. One being they're tied to Carson. They have no option to get them move on from Carson. So they need to have Carson out there for him to get confidence, for him to get this right. Or the other one being that, and this ties into what you were saying about Alshon over Fulgham and not playing Hurts, is that Doug is just like this is Doug's way of saying, like, for lack of a better term, like whatever decisions you made up there, I'm not listening to. Like, I'm just going to do it this way. Like, I'm not going to play your second round pick. I'm going to play this veteran receiver.
I think the Alshon thing doesn't fit exactly because they had been playing Fulgham more. And it's not like Fulgham was some like guy that's like a real feather in Howie's cap. Like, it was a waiver wire signing. And like, really the reason he got promoted is because he looked good in practice. I think that's more of a coaching staff evaluation win than it is a roster building win.
Yeah. But his answer to your question was so bad.
And I asked, Travis Fulgham led the league in receiving for 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. Since Good then, question. He's got like 4 catches. He doesn't seem to be a big part of the game plan. Why is Alshon? What have you seen from Alshon to have him be on the field more? And, he totally dodged it.
He made it seem like Travis is like this receiver who's still learning, and Alshon deserves to be out there. And like, Travis showed through 5 games that
better stretch than Alshon has ever had with
exactly. These. So yeah. So you think that first scenario is more plausible, that they're committed to Carson and they just need to get Carson right. Like, why else do you not?
Well, I don't think that they are in lockstep right now. Coaching
front
staff,
office and the coaching
front
staff.
Office. I do not think so. And I
because
think
why else do you not have Hurts out there just for 10 snaps?
And I think the Hurts
he's playing less than he was earlier this year.
And to have him come in on, as you said, a 2nd and 9, he throws. They have a false start. He throws 1 pass. And he comes back out, and then he's only on the field 1 other play again, and it's the same read option handoff we've seen every single time.
Exactly.
There's no creativity. I feel like if you did want to be a conspiracy theorist about it, maybe there is something where the reports this week that maybe Jeffrey Lurie wanted to see a little bit more Jalen Hurts, and this is Doug being like, we're not going to win with this guy.
Exactly,
that's possible. Again, like I said, if it was the case that Doug Peterson was being a little bit flippant and not necessarily trying to get fired, but making a statement, this is what it would look like.
Because I'm not suggesting now. You're saying you're done with Carson this season. Like, you need to see
Me
Hurts.
Personally, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. I'm not there.
I mean, give him a silly IR designation, and if Hurts is a disaster in 3 weeks, he can close the season and play those final NFC.
You see, but I'm not even there. What I'm just saying is why not give Hurts like a series? Like from you have
there's
five
this whole
straight
build up this week. We're gonna see a little bit more of a Jalen Hurts package. He plays 2 snaps, he throws 1 pass.
You have all these
and
three
it's
announced.
Like, all right, good job, Jalen.
You have all these 3 announced. Why not put him on the field to start a series? Or after he throws that ball, why not keep him on the field for 3rd down?
Right.
Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. The way they used him, it just strikes me as like Doug saying, "This was your pick. This was your pick. I'm not going. I'm not going to play him."
It's like checking a box. Like, okay,
Yeah,
you wanted to play with Jalen Hurts on the field and Carson Wentz off. Here you go. That's it. We did it once. You're not going to see it again.
Exactly.
It's crazy
because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
It doesn't make sense, and it's like the rolling out thing. I think there were 2 plays tonight where Carson Wentz had a planned rollout. Doug gets asked about this every single week. And just like he gets asked about the Jalen Hurts thing, he's like, well, we could do that. I could, yeah. Oh, I could throw the ball to my best player. Travis Fulgham has first half without a target for the 2nd straight week. Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks for bringing that up. Like, I'll think about that. The same stuff keeps happening. It's crazy.
Yes, so I'm not suggesting Doug is doing this to the front office, but it does seem that there's this disconnect between either what the intentions were and then what's happening in practice. In practice, meaning like in the games.
I don't know what the deal. Like those first 5 series looked so bad.
Mm-hmm.
If you were ever if it was a possibility that Jalen Hurts was going to come into the game to take over, that's when it would have happened, and that's when it should have happened because the defense was playing its balls off. Sorry. It was 0-0.
We're past midnight here. You can probably say that.
Okay. And like you want a spark. That was the chance. And I think, I've said it all season that like the way that this season has turned out has called the Eagles bluff on Jalen Hurts. Like every reasonable explanation you could have had for that pick, those reasons have come up this year and they're still not going to him, which tells you A, it was a terrible choice from the start because this is what you would have drafted him for. And B, it tells you they weren't committed. I'm not going to say they did it well, that's true.
Yeah.
But you know what is thinking back, didn't you remember Doug being as excited about that pick as anybody on draft night?
Honestly, it was all my questions were focused on Howie because he's it was a value proposition at that point. I didn't foresee it turning into what it has with Carson. So I didn't foresee it reaching the point where you'd be saying play Jalen Hurts, but maybe Howie did. Who knows? Now to get back to those early drives, and I'm not trying to pump a tweet that I had, but I looked this up during the game, and I'm not trying to knock a fellow alumnus here, but the Broncos, who did not have a quarterback, gained 26 yards on their first 3 drives versus the Saints. The Saints defense, which is ranked number 1 in the NFL right now. Now that's partly inflated by the way they played, by the game they played yesterday, but also they've played well this season. The Eagles had -5 yards on their first 3 drives versus the 32nd ranked defense. Like
Crazy.
that, like if they didn't have a quarterback out there, they could have had more success against than their franchise quarterback. It could
have been me.
Also, but we have to get into that. But but also as a coach, your whole thing is you script these early drives, right? That was horrible. It was the second quarter. It was the second quarter before they had a first down. Late in the second quarter.
It was embarrassing.
And their first down was Carson running 20 yards. It wasn't even a play design. It was Carson running 20 yards.
Like a pinball just getting knocked around. I don't know. I feel bad for Carson. I don't know what the explanation is for all of these
But
things.
all right,
But
I don't feel bad. Like he's
well, I mean,
complicit
he's
in this
getting
too.
paid
Like
a million. He's getting
no,
paid all this
take
money.
the salary out of it because I never like that argument. You know, it's like he's paid what he's worth on the open market, right? That's what he was worth.
Mhm.
But like I'm not absolving him from the way he plays. Like he's out there making some of these decisions.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just like, is it, are there lingering effects from the Clowney concussion? I don't know. Like,
I don't know either.
we got a good email from a listener to the Birds with Friends podcast at Gmail account, wondering if this is an effect of Carson as a father, which I like that conspiracy theory. Your life,
There's
your
a story
perspective
before the
changes
season.
as a
Yeah,
father.
there's a story in the before the season about how his perspective changed and
Yeah, maybe
football's not everything.
maybe
No,
he
but
doesn't care about
look,
football anymore, which I
look,
respect.
it's now unlike Bo, I say that it's very hard to play quarterback in the NFL. Like not everyone can do it, and if you are X percent, I don't know what that percent is, but X percent either slower or less athletic or less decisive because of these
Yeah, or
injuries.
you just see a little bit less. Yeah.
Yeah, it could affect you exponentially, right? So it might be that. I don't know. I've the only other example I've seen of a quarterback who has just regressed like this was Robert Griffin III, and really that was 1 year of RG3 when he was outstanding, and then he tore his ACL and he was never the same thereafter. With Carson, it was more than 2017. Like I thought he played well in 2018, and I thought he flashed late last year in 2019, and so the RG3 comp isn't even apt unless you're looking at it from the injury perspective. But you don't see a player who had his track record of production just like regress to this point. You see down years. I covered Eli when he had a 25 interception season.
Big flex, your boy.
No, he had a 25 interception season, and like that was a bad year, but you could rationalize it by saying I think like 13 of those interceptions were.
He was also always that bad.
Yeah, but Carson, like from where he was to where he is it's inexplicable, and I was going to say I can't explain it, but that's probably covered by saying it's inexplicable.
The other sort of angle of the Hurts thing that we haven't really, I think, unpacked or at least mentioned as a possibility is that they'd love to go to him, but he stinks, and they think he stinks. Like he's been terrible in practice.
It might be.
Like that's a possibility, right? Like
yes,
if he were good enough to think that he was going to be better than Wentz, you would think the coaches would put him on the field, right? So maybe maybe he's a gamer, but maybe he has been like really, really bad in practice. In which case, why is he up over Sudfeld to begin with? But
yeah, that's also a good point.
So I think that's possible. Yeah, it stinks. The whole thing stinks. It's really bad, and it was embarrassing. And I think that if you are in the camp where you want Jeffrey Lurie to completely clean house, and move on from both Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman, tonight was probably a step forward for you, because I think the narrative nationally has not focused on Howie Roseman as much. It's been more on Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, but the broadcast tonight put the onus squarely on the roster construction, and
it might have had something to do with the broadcaster too.
Well, you have to acknowledge there is Louis Riddick and Howie Roseman are not sending each other holiday cards, but and I think it was funny because it was more Greasy who was saying it than Riddick, which is like he's a good teammate. Like Riddick was like sliding these notes to him, and Greasy would read them for him. But it's true. I mean,
it is true.
They had these things. They had these things like prepped. Like, oh, no Pro Bowlers, only one Pro Bowler drafted since 2013. All the receivers they passed on, and we've been talking about it. Those things are true. But I think if you want Jeffrey Lurie to be paying attention to those things, I think it matters that happened on a national broadcast. And Jeffrey Lurie, is not happy. This team has been an embarrassment. This team is maybe the biggest joke in the NFL this year. The fact that
I mean, the Jets are the Jets.
Yeah, but the Jets always suck. The Eagles.
Look, I'm not defending the Eagles,
NFC,
but like what's happening with the Jets is
sure, but that's the Jets.
Yeah.
Like everybody expected. No one's surprised that the Jets are doing that. The Eagles, they have an opportunity in this terrible, terrible division. They're the one with the quarterback. They're the one with the coaching staff without turnover.
Mhm.
You know, I think they are the biggest joke in the league this year, and you know that's the kind of thing.
Well, they're certainly up there. I mean, they're bad. There's no way to defend the way they're playing. But yeah, I mean, I think when you talk about Howie, I thought Shield put it well in his article.
No. We're not talking about that article.
Well, all right. Well, they're old, they're bad, and they're expensive.
Correct.
Like the three, if you're one of those three, you can probably figure it out. Like there's ways out of it. If you're two of those three, it's tough. You need to be like perfect with your moves, basically. If you're three of those three, it's really, but like it's an undesirable situation.
And they're going to be expensive moving forward. They're going to be old moving forward, no matter what moves they make this offseason. And, we'll see if they can not be bad, but that's going to take some doing.
Yeah. And look, that's a reflection of the roster Howie built. And the question that I think it's a nuanced discussion, but you are going to have to kind of separate because what Howie built after when he came back, and I don't want to say cleaning up Chip's mess, but essentially
he was cleaning up Chip's. I know you don't want to say it, but I'll say it.
No, and he was hot during the 2016 free agency,
unbelievable
2017 free agency.
Unbelievable strokes of genius.
Well, but what he's done,
but
he
hit on everything.
And then what he's done since then has not been good. It's been bad. And he's and the other thing, and we've pointed this out, is that when you trade your draft inventory, and you have limited draft inventory, you need to be really good at picking players. And they haven't spent their premium picks well. They haven't hit on late, but they've done. Look, they got Mailata in the 7th round. He might be your left tackle, but overall, like they haven't drafted well enough. The coaching staff hasn't developed well enough, and so all that together is they are old, they are bad, and they're expensive. And these contracts, like they get credit, or they've gotten credit in the past for being a shrewd team with the cap. But when you keep kicking it down the can, like
the bill comes
at some
due.
point, at some point you got to pay it, right? And so the part of that is that the players the players you're paying have to play at a premium level, and their premium players are not playing at that point. And some of these other contracts are just really hurting them. So it's hard to look at the roster and have much optimism for what they are going forward. And so that factors into the evaluation. And I think Jeffrey Lurie is going to have to say, is it the coaching? Is it the talent? Is it both? And I just think the way they're going, this is going to be a very busy January.
And I actually think that bringing them both back, bringing Howie and Doug back, I think is a better move than just letting Doug go and bringing Howie back, because of two reasons. If you are looking for a new head coach and keeping Howie, one, what kind of head coach wants to come into this atmosphere where that things have gotten ugly behind the scenes with the last two head coaches that Howie has hired? You're going to let him hire his third head coach. I don't think you're going to attract the best candidates. And I think that's a real concern. And two, more importantly, you are this offseason, when they need to be thinking big picture, long term, not doing more restructuring of contracts where you're guaranteeing future years and paying out bonuses. Like one of the easiest ways they can create cap space this spring is by restructuring Carson Wentz's deal and adding a guarantee onto that. You shouldn't be doing those things. You shouldn't be incentivizing the person who is in charge of long-term decision-making to be thinking short-term. And if Howie Roseman thinks that his job is in jeopardy, that the incentives are completely wrong about what this offseason should be about.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, so
which is, again, that's also an argument about bringing them both back. But
look, I don't want to come off like I am defending Howie here, because that's not my intention. What I'm trying to do is provide insight for listeners about some organizational thinking. And I know, based on Jeffrey Lurie's public comments and
Sure.
and conversations with him, that he doesn't view the personnel executive's role as just picking talent. He thinks the talent evaluation is just a part of that. That it's a as she said, that personnel executive role has grown into something much larger, and the organizational component is something that that's really how he evaluates Howie. And he might say Howie is creative and has certain qualities, but the problem is the personnel evaluation, and they reshape the front office around Howie. It could be that. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just suggesting that Jeffrey's not just going to look at the draft records and say, like, that's the only thing that they judge Howie on.
And I actually think that makes it a stronger case to get rid of Howie, because the problems here are not just individual evaluations. The problem here is the big picture roster building philosophy, where they keep bringing in older players and kicking the can down the road, which I have been screaming about for the past 3 years. That is the problem. We know that Jeffrey Lurie is keeping score on the evaluation front, and I think
He's
would be
taking voluminous notes.
There would be a better case if, like, he could tell us that, actually Howie was actually thinking that we should take, DK Metcalf, or he was the one who actually, he listened to the room, but his evaluation was better. You can sell us that if that's the case, but you can't sell us that, his big picture philosophy of the roster here made sense, because it didn't. And that's why they are in this place.
And if that's the evaluation, then they absolutely need to make a change there, because it starts with that big picture evaluation. Absolutely.
I mean, it's the same disease as trading a 3rd round pick at the deadline for Golden Tate. It's this, like, if that's the way that that's your philosophy, that eventually it's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that the biggest issue with this team, with the front office, because the coaching is a totally different matter, and there's a lot of issues there too, and with the player development. But they pay lip service to this notion that they're honest with themselves, but I don't think they were honest with themselves about the roster and about what worked in 2017 and 2018. Well, in 2017, really, because basically, like, they hit on stocks, they hit on lottery tickets, and they thought that they acted as if, like, they were the geniuses there, or it was the plan, that the strategy that was working, as opposed to they just hit on things, and sometimes you're going to miss on it. And the rate at which they've missed on things, whether it's been contracts, whether it's been evaluations, whether it's been big picture strategy, since that year, is alarming. It really is alarming. And it's why we're talking here about a 3-7-1 team.
Yeah, I mean, you probably make a deal with the devil. I want to be the one to deliver a Super Bowl to Philadelphia. And then, everything after that goes wrong. You probably take that deal, right?
Well, yeah, but
that doesn't mean you get to be the
no,
the
but it's not mutually
perpetuity.
exclusive, though. Yeah, like that deal with the devil talk, because I don't think they sold out. Like, that's the thing. I don't think
No, I mean a literal deal with the devil.
Oh. Sure, I suppose you take one championship, right? But
right, yeah.
But again, like, I try not to be reactionary. I try to look at things with a clear mind. But the more evidence you get, the the better you can evaluate this. And the evidence this year is alarming. But I feel bad. I feel like we've gotten away from the game and we've gotten more to this big picture.
That's the discussion I think people are interested in. And it's probably a discussion that, if you were someone like Louis Riddick, that, you might, that discussion might make you excited, but in which case you wouldn't need our next product. But for others of you, it can be awkward or embarrassing to talk about erectile dysfunction. Usually we brush it off or blame ourselves. But Roman is here to get you the advice you want and the help you need with no shame. How often do you use excuses like, I had a long day at work, or, oh, I hadn't thought about playing the quarterback with a different quarterback off the field. That's an interesting idea. Or I hadn't thought about, rolling the quarterback out of the pocket. Those are interesting ideas. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship you real medicine with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/BWF and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to talk about, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to getroman.com/BWF to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/BWF for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Getroman.com/BWF.
Thanks to a lack of natural athleticism or commitment, or overbearing sports parents, fewer than 1% of people will ever play professional football. But instead of entering the NFL, they've joined another league, the League of Football Watchers. The football season will be different, and Pepsi is here to get you ready for game day, no matter how you watch. So if you are waiting for Jalen Hurts to get on the field, or you're waiting for Carson Wentz to look like he did in 2017, you're watching these games, Pepsi is the refreshment you need to power through any game day, because Pepsi is not made for those who play the game. It's made for those who watch it. Pepsi, made for football watching. Go to madeforfootballwatching.com to check out the latest football watching content from Pepsi.
All right, Zach, let's get to the main event that I know everybody has been looking forward to. The results of this week's Swooper Storecasting. My 3 bets. Jalen Hurts is on the field for the Eagles' final snap of the game. Unfortunately, that one did not hit. I really thought there was a chance we might get that, but alas. DK Metcalf scores exactly 1 touchdown. He dropped it in the end zone, so I don't get that. And the Eagles never have a lead in the game. Bingo, bango, bungo. One turkey for me. Shield had 4 coming in. Richard Rodgers will lead the Eagles in receiving yards. Did he get it on the? No, Goddard led the Eagles in receiving yard with 7 for 75. Dick Rod had 3 for 53, including the 33-yard touchdown. Russell Wilson has more rushing yards than any Eagles player. Russell Wilson had 12 rushing yards, which was almost more than Miles Sanders, but Carson Wentz also had 42. KJ Wright will blow up an Eagles screen pass. That did not happen, but just to double check with Marissa, I know you were following this closely.
I don't think that happened either.
It did not happen. He had he had a pass batted at the end zone, or at the line of scrimmage, but not a screen.
Yeah.
And Russ has 2 or more 40-yard completions. He only had 1. So no turkeys for Shield. Zach, you finally saved your turkeys this week. You had a season high 5 bets on the docket. Let's see how they turned out.
And the most turkeys left over too, by the way.
That's correct.
Right? Because we're also building for the future here. We're not like the 2018 Eagles.
That's right. You have 21 turkeys for next week. There are 3 or more different offensive line combinations. That one did not happen in this game. DK Metcalf.
Now, Peters was not on the field at the end, but I
actually didn't know that. So that's good for you. But I still think that would have only been 2, right? I think the other guys all played. DK Metcalf will have a touchdown of 40-plus yards. Did not happen. Jalen Hurts plays more than 10 snaps. You thought coming in that might happen. It didn't happen. The Eagles win the game. Didn't happen. But DK Metcalf sets a season high in yards. You nailed that, a career high. So a tie between you and I this week, you and me.
I think we need a tiebreaker.
We should have thought about it. I suppose in a game
the person who has the most
which...
turkeys left, right? Or the person who's
no way.
That's how you design the games. You rig it for you to win it.
No, if anything, it should be who had fewer bets, who had a higher percentage of bets hit.
Also, you rig it for you,
right?
Yeah.
Well, Marissa, you can. Well, if you're in the live chat, you're one of the real sickos who's in the live chat. Give us an idea for a tiebreaker. Otherwise, Zach will get his playing for a tie. His Doug Peterson memorial.
It's like the Eagles. You could be, you each can have a tie now.
How are the comments in the chat?
We really should have had a tiebreaker.
They're pretty depressing,
just because the totals are always going to be low.
If people are watching us at 1:30 a.m., we should make sure that we include them in the show.
That's true.
There's a lot of people. There's 208 people watching.
I appreciate that.
At 1:30 in the morning.
Marissa,
Big
feel
props.
free to jump in at any time if there's a comment that's worthwhile. I know people are worried about where's your mug tonight.
I actually...
Oh,
I have it for these audio listeners.
Look at that. It's like a plant potter.
Yeah, I picked the biggest one I could find.
Smart.
On purpose. I already drank it though before the show started. So it wasn't completely full. But
I have a take, Zach, an Eagles take. Maybe not a fully baked take, but we've been sort of preaching patience a little bit. I'm not so sure it's not evident already that Jalen Reagor is not very good.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's early. I think it's early, but he hasn't shown that he hasn't
shown anything.
He hasn't shown that he can be special. I'll put it that way.
Correct.
And if you're going out on the limb, and look, I'm going to respect that Shield had Reagor above Jefferson. So
Shield also really liked Marquise Lee. So let's calm down with his wide receiver takes.
No, but I'm saying so reasonable minds can differ. But I think it's fair to say that the overall near consensus, but certainly the majority of opinions, was, and as if you saw the Minnesota Vikings draft room, they were
right. They didn't need any Roman that night. That's for sure.
That it is clear that Justin Jefferson is a high level NFL receiver.
He's a stud.
And you can't even say that he's playing with Patrick Mahomes or he's playing in this dynamic offense that showed. No, he's playing with Kirk Cousins in
a run first offense.
Yes. But he's making plays. He's making play. They wanted the deep threat. Justin Jefferson has been as good a deep threat as there's been in the NFL this year, outside of Tyreek Hill, obviously. They think he's slot only. Look at the production he's getting on the outside this year, and they were worried about the fit in the offense. They can't get Jalen Reagor to fit in their offense. They don't know how to play Reagor right now. It's baffling to watch.
It's crazy. And what I think is concerning for Reagor's future is that they drafted Reagor over Jefferson because they thought he was a more dynamic athlete. And he doesn't look like a special athlete on the field to me.
No,
he's not running away from people. He's not making people miss. Maybe they're, generally speaking, receivers take time, like Devontae Adams was bad as a rookie. The timetable has been accelerated in recent years as guys are being better early, but obviously there's a lot of his career left, but I am, I would say wary of what we've seen from him so far. I think there's a chance that, this is as much of a punchline of a draft day decision as Arcega-Whiteside over Metcalf at some point. Maybe not much, not as much.
Yeah, the Arcega-Whiteside over Metcalf one, as we've discussed, that looks bad, but it's different because a lot of teams passed on Metcalf, and the complicating factor there was the injury. Now, that being said, if you go back and you read the transcript, the first question Howie Roseman got, or one of the first questions Howie Roseman got,
was it you?
that's immaterial to the conversation.
Big whiff.
But that you took JJ Arcega-Whiteside over some of these other receivers on the board at the time, right? Now it wasn't just Metcalf I was referring to. Paris Campbell was one of them, I believe, but it was that like it was considered, I don't want to say a reach, but a bit of a stretch, right, to go with Arcega-Whiteside there. And
but you have to remember that people around the league were texting Howie what a great pick that was after it was made,
and after the Ravens preseason game, right?
Yeah.
And look, but I think this year is more egregious because of where they were picking, right? Because it seemed like an obvious pick, and because of the importance of that pick, like they telegraphed the fact that they were picking a wide receiver in the first round.
Right.
It's similar. The value's different, but it's similar to like the Bears taking Trubisky where they did over the other guys on the board. Like you had the other options there, right? Like you specifically chose
I think it's worse
over these other options. It's definitely.
I mean, it's not worse considering
the Bears traded up one spot to take
I know.
Trubisky. Yeah.
But that was close to consensus. I mean, consensus was dumb, but like Trubisky was for whatever reason rated higher. But like Mahomes was, everybody missed on Mahomes except for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and then there's all these stories that like everyone else wanted Mahomes.
Yeah, of
right?
course they did.
But no, like the Eagles, we talked about it all offseason. This was the wide receiver draft. They needed to, they were waiting for the draft. They needed to hit on that pick. They put themselves on a limb,
Right. We know better than you.
Exactly. And I don't want this to be old takes exposed. Like there is a chance, but Justin Jefferson looks so much better. And not just Justin Jefferson, by the way. Like T. Higgins has produced at a high level. Yeah. I'm not going to hold Chase Claypool against them. Like that was, 30 picks later or whatever. But when all these rookie wide receivers are producing, and by the way, if I hear the Eagles talk about like, we're not using it as an excuse, but they didn't have an offseason, right? Or Jalen Hurts still needs to learn the playbook, right?
Yeah, come on. And also,
like Justin Herbert is, and Joe, like all these rookies elsewhere are producing right now.
Right.
Excuse me. If these guys aren't ready to perform right now, then that says something either about your coaching or about your playbook.
And also, by the way they built the roster for this season, they needed Jalen Reagor to be
exactly
playable right away. They didn't draft him to be like, we're going to give you some time to develop and, we'll check back in with you in 2021. They built the roster with a hole at receiver entering the draft, needed to be filled by Jalen Reagor. So,
and we called this, by the way, because their rebuttal to that was, well, no, we have Deshaun, and like if you didn't expect this situation with Deshaun, then you were fooling yourselves.
Correct.
Right?
And Alshon.
Yeah, I mean,
which they didn't expect because they kept him on the roster, and that was dumb. He's coming off of Liz Frank.
So this is, I mean, this has been I don't use this word lightly. This has been an egregious mishandling of the roster.
I can't believe that the coaching staff watched the Alshon Jeffrey quote unquote jump for that interception at the end of the Browns game last week and decided, you know what? We need to make sure this guy gets on the field more. That was also insane. And he played over 50% of the snaps.
And to your point,
that's insane.
And to your point, I don't know how you can watch those 4 games that Travis Fulgham had and deduce he needs to play less.
He needs to play less. And we're not, even when he's on the field, we're not like, we're not game planning for him. Like, get him the ball.
It is staggering to me. It is staggering to me that where they were at the bye week, like this is where they are now. Right?
It's crazy. They've backslid. It's the same thing that I said when they released Casey Toohill. They're not watching the same stuff as the rest of us. They're delusional.
Or they just think they're smarter than everyone else.
I guess.
Right? Or
it's crazy.
Or it's just I can't explain it. But I
can't believe we still got it right.
Yeah, it's
we haven't even gotten to the defense.
Yeah, we should talk about Slay.
Shield, give me a break.
You're so fired up about Shield.
He's sleeping in his Russell Wilson pajamas.
Shields' output is outstanding, by the way. Like he
doesn't need you gassing him up. He's hitting home runs on the Wentz piece. He's
true.
sleeping sound. He doesn't need you.
Yeah. I'm just envious of his home runs. But I feel like we pitched it to Marissa for comments, and then we just totally changed the subject. We should see what our viewers are saying.
Well, Terry said fewest turkeys used on the correct answers should be tiebreaker. So I don't remember exactly how many turkeys were wagered.
Bo's thinking in his head if that means he won or not.
I'm trying to go back.
I actually think that would mean Zach won, but I don't accept that as the tiebreaker.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty.
I think the only fair thing to do.
The answer.
I think the only fair thing to do is to make this week a tie because we hadn't set it up ahead of time, and then moving forward we have to decide what the tiebreaker is. So a one-time only tie.
Okay.
So we get a half a point.
Yeah, you're on the board.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I'll take
it. With 21 turkeys for next week. So
there you go. All right, let's talk about the defense because the on-field action can get lost when a season is so disastrous, and we'll get to Slay. But before we do that, like everybody else on the defense, played their nuts off. I thought they were really good tonight. Part of that is the way that the Seahawks ran their offense, running the ball and some of that misdirection stuff, but they played really great. They played inspired. It seemed in the beginning like I thought they were going to get out of hand a little bit with some of the pushing and shoving, but that goal line stand at the start of the game on that first possession, I thought, gave them a lot of juice, and they played great. They played a game that, in average offensive output, they win this game. I thought the offense let them down.
Yeah.
I thought it was I thought the defensive performance tonight was the best single performance by an Eagles unit this season.
I mean, considering who they were playing, yes, I would agree.
Right.
But they allowed DK Metcalf to get 170 yards, so you can't let them off the hook there.
They're not off the hook.
And and look, the offense really didn't help them out. I thought a critical juncture was, we didn't even get into the fourth down decisions here, but I thought it was the right decision to go for the 4th and 2 at the 48. But just it was batted down. So now the defense has the short field. At that point, it was 14-6 or it was 17-6. No, it was 14-6, I believe. I would have to look that up.
I think it might have been 17-9 at that point. No.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's what it was. 17-9. Yes, thank you. It was still it was a one possession game, and the offense gives them the ball at the 48 and
first play.
And they hit DK down the left sideline. And I actually thought that was one where like Slay couldn't have played that much better. Right. But Metcalf made a play on the ball. Do you want to share what Slay said after the game? Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to say first what DK Metcalf said after the game. He said that Jim Schwartz told him that, I was with Calvin Johnson in Detroit and you're no Calvin Johnson, and that motivated him. And apparently that was, at least a willful misunderstanding by Metcalf, because Schwartz explained through back channels that what actually happened is he told him before the game, I think you're great. I coach Calvin. You're, the best I've seen since him, or something like that. And then after the game, he said something like, we're trying to be complimentary. You're no Calvin, but you're the closest thing or whatever. So I don't know. You gotta use whatever you can as motivation, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought quickly on the fourth down decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I know people were questioning the decision Doug made to go for it on 4th and 4 instead of kicking a field goal to go down 8. I thought that was easily the right move. And I thought going forward on 4th and 2 down 8 was actually a little bit more risky, even though it was shorter, given how well the defense was playing. I thought if I was only going to go for one of them, it would have been the one at the end of the game. But anyway.
I thought the fourth, I'm usually in favor of going for the first, of keeping your offense on the field, trying to get the touchdown. I thought where they were on the field, they weren't close. They weren't in a goal to go situation. I thought that there's still, I don't know what the probability is, but you still might end that drive with a field goal, right? So I viewed that a little differently. I could make the argument either way. I probably would have kicked it just to make sure that, you have a one possession game, and I make sure to differentiate between one possession game and one score game, because when you
8
need
and 7's big difference.
exactly, you still need to score twice there. So it's different, but it's one possession. And I think that I probably would have kicked the field goal there. I liked the 4th and 2 going for it. I just thought like it was such a, now I think KJ Wright made a great play, but still it was
calling a play for your best player for Dick Rod.
Yeah, I mean your 4th and 2 play is a pass to Richard Rodgers in the flat, like
for 3 yards. Yeah,
come on.
Pretty uninspired.
Yeah.
So Darius Slay, after the game, had a press conference. He sort of owned the performance, that it was the worst game of his career. He lost all this 50-50 balls. He apologized to the rest of the defense. Said he, it was his fault they lost. I like a guy taking ownership, but that's what he was brought here for. It's, to not get torched for 170 yards by DK Metcalf. That's basically how they built the entire defense, and it didn't work.
No, you're excuse me. You're excuse me. You are absolutely right.
I gotta say, you've got good energy for 1:45 in the morning. You're usually dragging by now.
Well, I mean, I made a deliberate. I told myself before, I got to bring it. I'm not going to complain. This is the last night game of the year.
Okay.
So we're not going to be in this situation again. Like, I don't think
Marissa just looked up like she was thanking the heavens that this was the last night game.
Yeah. They're not
Not my last night
time.
game. I got a Browns Monday night game in 2 weeks, a week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. The Browns are at least better to watch, right?
Yeah, they're an interesting team. Good offensive line depth.
Yeah, deep, like total, deep offensive line. But no, I look at it like I wanted to bring the energy, and I thought this was an important podcast, and especially
you dressed up for it.
No, this is what I rushed back from the game. This is what I was wearing for the game.
I know.
Like I came into my house mid press conference, so I literally haven't taken my jacket
Pants.
off. Oh, but my pants are on. Yes. Please don't make that a drop.
No
but
promises.
And also I feel indebted to our YouTube viewers. Like, I appreciate all our listeners, but if you are watching this at 1:45 in the morning. What's that?
They said the sickest of the sick.
No,
in a good sense.
A 3-7-1 team, and you're watching us at 1:47 a.m. I owe it to you to give you my best effort.
Yeah, I mean it's the meme, the guy on the outside of the window, like, yes, like those are the YouTube commenters at 2 a.m. after a 3-7-1 Eagles loss, embarrassing on national TV. Well, good on you, Zach. I think you look good. I think you look good. You play good.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. On Slay,
he's played well this year, but he's
played fine.
This is the game you need him for.
Yeah, he hasn't played. It's not like he has. He hasn't played to the level of what they asked him to do when they trade a 3rd and a 5th and pay him all this money. These are the games that you pay him for, and he gave up 175 yards.
Also, I thought it was interesting. Jim Schwartz said earlier this week when he was talking about this matchup, he said, Slay's played well against these type of receivers, right, like AJ Green, who's like having a down year altogether, right? And when you think about Amari Cooper, they played Amari Cooper with Ben DiNucci in the lineup. You think about Terry McLaurin. They played Terry McLaurin with Dwayne Haskins, like that was early in the year. So he hasn't really played these dynamic outside receivers.
He's going to get Devontae Adams next week, so let's see if he has another.
Yeah,
if he gets torched again by Devontae Adams, like
the
entire roster building philosophy. I feel like it's hard to disentangle Darius Slay getting torched by DK Metcalf from the front office.
But I will say that that there were plays when you watched the TV copy, so so you actually saw these plays better than I did, because I'm seeing it from a distance. But there were
I like
plays
your angle better.
when at least from my angle, it seemed like Slay couldn't have played them much better. It was just maybe he comes down with the ball, but like he was all over him. And
some of them,
yeah.
not all of them, not the 52-yarder. He lost. He lost him.
Yeah, that was but then you watch Metcalf did that against Patrick Peterson a few weeks ago. But then Jalen Ramsey played real well against Metcalf, right?
Yeah.
So, I was going to say, like, give credit to Metcalf. He's one of the best in the NFL, and he is. But they needed.
Yeah, I mean, he is the best or second best receiver in the NFL, probably. It's him and Devontae Adams. So, a tough slate for Darius Slay. He's awesome. He's unstoppable. But that's what Darius Slay is here for. And it's not like, it doesn't seem like it's asking too much to, not surrender his career high. You give up, 80 yards or something like that. You call it a win. Now it's not like, was I wrong about what the game plan here was going to be, because I thought they were going to, throw to Tyler Lockett on Avonte Maddox. And, that was barely a part of the game plan.
Yeah.
Avonte got called for a tough pass interference call, which I thought was pretty ticky-tack. 3 catches for 23 yards for Tyler Lockett. So, I was pretty wrong about that. But, I mean, Metcalf's a stud. You tip your hat. But this is what the defense was built for.
Agree with you. We're an hour deep. We both have writing. So what are you
going to write about?
I'm going to write about Jalen Hurts. But, it's 2 a.m. and it's almost 2 a.m. I'm hoping to be finished by 4:30. So
flex.
So I'm saying, like, unless there's anything pertinent, let's get to the wrap up of the show. Is that fair, Marissa? Like, I don't mean to be rude, but we've already devoted an hour to this. We're gonna be back in like 36 hours with Shield, because this is a Monday game.
If he decides,
this is a Monday game where it's Tuesday morning. So we do the show Wednesday. Is there anything? I know you want to talk about the TV copy.
How was the game? How was the press box tonight?
It was fine. It was normal. I mean, it's not
no fans again, right?
Yeah, no fans, and it's not like a normal year. Like you're not talking to the people. You're not talking to the people around you. Not really having conversations. I had at one point, I had the triple mask going.
Good for you. Respect.
Just really trying to be safe there.
All the same.
No, because I brought my own mask.
Okay.
And,
BYOM.
Yeah, but they make you wear the paper mask has to be on the outside. Right.
And then did you go another paper mask on the outside?
Yeah. So yeah. But then that was getting, but that was getting a little thick there, right? So like I went double mask.
All that thickness.
Yeah, I went double mask. But no, it was a normal 2020 game, but I'm looking forward to this time next year, and when you and I are sitting next to each other in the press box and we can have conversations during the game.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any cackles tonight. I think I had a couple, maybe some Wentz throws.
Wake up the kids?
No. Oh, and some of the Miles Sanders drops I thought made me laugh, because it's comical at this point.
Ridiculous.
Like they just can't complete a single 3-yard pass. You know what was the refs were really bad in this game. There were some dumb calls. I know you want to get going, but I'm just trying to check our boxes.
I would need to think about that. But sure. Yeah, there were some. Yeah, I thought the Eagles were the beneficiary. I didn't think that Wentz pass reached the line of scrimmage. And
that was a bad call.
On the drive. So,
but they also, even though they called the grounding on Russell Wilson, the one before should have been grounding, when instead they called a penalty on Slay, which was a Garbanzo Beans call. Okay. I mean, I'm screwed because I'm already tired.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, we're all in this together. The three of us, not Shield.
Shield's column's already up there.
Chat on YouTube watching.
Yeah, and the 200s of you watching.
Yep.
on YouTube. Marissa,
And like Marissa, by the way, she's like the biggest trooper of all here. It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
She's here producing the show. And she's got so
I enjoyed
she's got to take all our audio
guys.
afterwards.
I needed a full breakdown after that game because it was hard to watch.
Did you get a nap today?
No. I laid down for a little bit, but I never fell asleep. So it's okay.
That's tough.
Power
Zach, you get a nap?
No, I'm not a napper. So.
What about
You're
you?
not a napper? I did get a nap. It was fantastic.
I'm not a napper. Yeah, I was up
What do you
early.
mean you're not a napper? You gotta add that to your repertoire. It's an important part of it.
I'm not good at turning off. Number one. And
me too, Zach. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how are you
It's very hard for me to put my phone down.
and night games are really difficult for me because I'm like just waiting all day, right? Like it's
yeah, I can see that.
If it was up to me, every game would be like the London game, and they would kick off at 9 a.m.
Well,
it's not 9 a.m.
Someone made a joke in the comments when I said, "Oh, I got a Browns game at a night game," and they said, "Don't worry, Marissa, that one will be rescheduled for a Friday morning."
That's probably true.
So,
all right. Well, I guess that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. We will be back at some point on Wednesday, I assume. The Eagles prepare now for a game against
Slugger
the
Shield
Packers.
Kapadia. Yeah.
Debatable. We don't know that. He might be moving on. Who's to say? And again, don't read his piece until he does appear on the podcast.
Definitely read his piece. It's a good piece.
Zach and I will have stories up in the morning. You should read those.
Please read those.
And Shields will be linked in those, but don't click those links.
And by the way, read Bo's 2021 depth chart because I think that's more pertinent after tonight. That appeared. Dropped
I think it was just as pertinent today. They were never going to win this game. But but your point is taken.
Yes.
Yeah, read it. Go ahead, please. Okay. And remember, you can subscribe still for $1 a month at theathletic.com/birdswithfriends. So go on and do that. We'll be back. We'll talk to you. The Eagles are terrible. You already knew that. Maybe tonight was a step forward for, sweeping change. We'll find out. Oh, by the way, I know I do this all the time, but we didn't talk about it. I mean, Dick Rod should go to the Pro Bowl. I think that's the honor that this Eagles team deserves. One single Pro Bowler, Dick Rod.
There's no Pro Bowl this year, though.
Yeah, but they still get.
So he would just get the honors.
The honors.
Get
yeah.
the honors. Yeah.
Him and Brandon Graham. Those two should go.
Okay.
All right. So for Shield, forget about Shield. For Zach and Marissa, I'm Bo, and as always, thanks for listening. We love you.